Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Pro. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to configure OBS for streaming onto YouTube and Twitch. Let's get started right now. The first thing I always like to do for streaming is add a GIF file that'll say like stream starting soon or welcome to the stream. This is sort of your intro for your stream and I highly recommend you have one. You can have a countdown timer, you can have a welcome page, it can be anything you want. The way you can add a GIF file with this stuff in it is by coming in here to the sources area, click on the little plus symbol and click on media source. Go ahead and click OK right here, that's just where you can name it. And you want to go ahead and select the GIF file that you have made. It doesn't have to be a GIF file. If it's not a GIF file, just make it an image source. But if it's any kind of other media, use the media source option. Go ahead and click on loop so it'll keep playing over and over again. Use the hardware decoding if your graphics card can handle it. And then go ahead and click OK. You guys can see I now have mine inside of here. And to go ahead and size it automatically to fit the entire screen, all you have to do is on your keyboard press Ctrl and F at the same time, and you will now have your very own intro screen. Super easy, super simple, and in my opinion it looks pretty good. The next step is to go ahead and add another scene, so go ahead and click the little plus symbol right here, name this one display, and then you want to go ahead and click OK. And inside of the sources area you want to go ahead and add a display capture right here. Go ahead and click OK. You can select the display you want. I've got my main one selected right here, and you can select whether or not you want it to capture the cursor. Press Ctrl F again, and that's going to go and center and full screen your display capture. And you guys can see we now have that all ready to go, and we can now add our next scene, which will be our game capture. Once again, just add the source right here. You guys can see we have a game capture. Go ahead and add that in. And you want to go ahead and select this to capture a specific window. Now, if you feel comfortable with OBS, then you can just have it, capture any full screen application. It's completely up to you. But personally, I wanted to go ahead and capture a specific window just because I always like to be able to select manually which game or application I wanted to be using at a given time. Alright, you don't have to change any of the settings in here unless you feel that they are needed, but personally, I think everything is set up just fine right here. The only thing you would really want to change is the cursor capture. Do you want it to capture your cursor or not? That's kind of personal preference. It doesn't really affect your stream. Go ahead and add that in and press Ctrl F so it'll go ahead and automatically size that to your full screen. You guys can see we have this red outline, and that's the size of your scene right here. That's the size of what people are going to be seeing. Alright, so now we have all of our scenes set up, and it is now time to go ahead and configure some of the behind the scenes stuff inside of OBS. Go ahead and come in here to your settings inside of OBS. You want to go ahead and come over here to video. Inside of video, you want to go ahead and make sure your resolution is set to 1920 by 1080 on both of these, unless you feel that you need to have it a lower or higher resolution. Make sure your computer can handle whatever resolution you're doing. Most computers should be able to handle at least 720p, which is kind of the minimum you want to be streaming at. For your FPS, streaming at 30 FPS is 100% fine. But if you just want your stream to look the best that it possibly can, I highly recommend setting this to 60 frames per second if your computer and internet connection can handle it. Once again, use your common sense and make sure you don't completely overdo these settings. You don't need to be streaming at 4K and 120 FPS. Now go ahead and come over here to the output tab on the left side. For the encoder right here, you want to go ahead and make sure this is set to your graphics card. If you have confidence in your graphics card. If you'd rather stream off your CPU, then select X264, which is going to be the software CPU encoding. For the rate control, just leave this at CBR. It doesn't really matter. Some of them are more demanding, some aren't. CBR is the default one, and I have had no problems with it at all. For the bitrate, 6400 is where I typically keep mine at. If you just want to go above and beyond, you can set it to 10,000. This is about the highest I would go, because this is kind of where it starts stressing your internet connection depending on how fast your speed is. For the keyframe interval, just leave this to 0 or auto, because that's just going to let OBS decide, and typically that's what you want. For the preset, you can set this to whatever you want. Mine is set to performance because it gives me obviously good performance, but typically I'll have mine set to quality, as that'll give me pretty good performance but also really good quality, and it's not super demanding for my computer. Set the profile to main, as this will give you a nice mid-ground between high and baseline. If your computer is struggling, this is one of the first things I always turn down just set it to baseline. You're not going to notice that much of a difference. For the GPU, this is a thing a lot of people do not understand. If you have multiple graphics cards in your computer, you can set OBS to use one for encoding or another for encoding. You cannot use both for encoding, unfortunately. So if you have, like, say, one graphics card for gaming and another one for what you want to be encoding, then you just set the GPU to the one that is encoding. You can just find it in Task Manager. They're all numbered and it's super easy to navigate. Set your max B frames to 2 and you're basically done. There's really not much else you have to do. Go into your stream tab and make sure you set up your Twitch or YouTube or whatever, but after you've done that, you're basically finished, and there's not really much else you have to do. There's plenty of other features that OBS has, and I'll have another video coming out on the recording aspect with OBS. But this video is just for streaming, so hopefully I was able to cover all your questions. However, if you have any more questions, be sure to let me know down in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you and answer your question. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.